imagine for a moment that dream. You know, the one about actually turning back the clock on aging?
Right, not just slowing it down.
Exactly. Actually reversing it. It sounds, well, pretty wild, I know.
Huh?
But what if I told you it's maybe, just maybe, moving out of science fiction and getting close to being real?
Okay, I'm listening. That's a big claim.
It is. And today, that's what we're diving deep into. The actual science, the breakthroughs happening, well, basically right now.
And we've got some fascinating source material for this. A really insightful discussion with Dr. David Sinclair. You know, a huge name in longevity, epigenetics.
The Peter Diamandis interview, right? The state of age reversal.
That's the one.
Okay.
So our mission today really is to unpack Sinclair's core idea. What's his main argument?
And look at the milestones, the actual results coming out of his lab recently.
Yeah, and the role AI is playing, which is huge here.
Yeah.
And then, what does it all mean for you, for your health, your future?
It's genuinely exciting stuff. Feels less like just talking about the future and more like, I don't know, seeing it start to unfold.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Dr. Sinclair's big idea. For ages, we've thought aging is like just things wearing out, DNA damage accumulates, your body breaks down, simple wear and tear.
The hardware failing, basically.
Right. But Sinclair says, hold on, maybe that's not the main story. He says it's an epigenetic problem. What does that actually mean? Why is that such a big shift?
It's a total mindset shift. So when he says epigenetic problem, he means it's less about the DNA itself, the hardware being broken, and more about the instructions, the software that tells the DNA what to do.
Okay.
Think of the epigenome as the operating system. Over time, it gets errors, corrupted data, cells forget their job or they start running the wrong programs. It's a loss of information.
Information loss, not just physical decay.
Exactly. And here's the game changer, if it's software corruption.
You can potentially fix it, reboot it.
That's the core idea. He says you can reset it. And it's not just theory. His team has shown this. They use these specific genes, Yamanaka factors.
Ah, the Nobel Prize-winning ones for cell reprogramming.
Precisely. They use those to basically rewind cells, make them young again, and they've managed to rejuvenate not just cells in a dish, but entire tissues, even in primates.
Wow, primates too. So this isn't just mice anymore.
No, this pushes the conversation firmly from just slowing aging to actually potentially reversing it.
You can reset it. That just lands differently, doesn't it? Okay, so that idea, resetting the software, it leads to this almost unbelievable vision Sinclair paints for the near future. Like 10 years from now, what does he see?
Yeah, he really puts it out there. He asks you to imagine maybe a decade out taking a simple pill, like an oral treatment for maybe 4 weeks.
A 4-week course of pills.
Right, and the result, it resets your body to a physiologically younger state.
And the cost. Because gene therapy usually sounds incredibly expensive.
Well, this is the kicker. He envisions it potentially costing as little as $100, taken periodically. Maybe like you take antibiotics for an infection. You take this to stay young.
$100 for a youth reset. That's okay. How? Is this still some complex gene therapy thing just shrunk down?
No, the idea is to make it much more accessible. He sees it happening through non-invasive approaches, using AI to design specific small molecules.
Small molecules, not genes directly.
Exactly. Molecules that mimic the effect of turning on those rejuvenating Yamanaka factor genes, but without needing the complex, expensive delivery systems of traditional gene therapy. AI finds these mimics.
Okay, that makes the $100 price tag sound slightly less science fiction, I guess, but that vision is still, out there. What's happening now? What are the concrete results from his lab that make this seem, plausible?
The results are pretty stunning, actually, and moving fast. A major one is proving the gene therapy concept works for age reversal, not just in mice, but, as we mentioned, in primates.
The green monkeys.
Yes, green monkeys. They specifically reverse blindness in these animals. Restored youthful function to the optic nerve by something like 95%.
95% reversal of blindness. That's incredible.
It really is. And importantly, they built in a control mechanism. They can turn the therapy on and off using doxycycline.
An antibiotic.
Yeah, a common antibiotic acts like a switch. So you can control the gene expression, make it safer, adjustable. That's a big deal for safety.
Definitely. Okay, so the primate study's huge. What about the cost problem you mentioned with gene therapies? Millions of dollars.
Right, that's a massive barrier. So his lab is tackling that head on. They're using AI, as we discussed, to find those small molecule mimics. The goal is to get similar rejuvenating effects, but at a, tiny fraction of the cost.
Making it potentially affordable for everyone, not just the super rich.
That's the aim. And they're also seeing functional results in mice. It's not just biological markers changing. Mice treated with these approaches actually behave younger.
How so?
Better physiological markers, more activity, that sort of thing. And this was achieved with a pretty simple regimen like Monday, Wednesday, Friday dosing for just 4 weeks.
And you could measure the age difference.
Demonstrably, yes.
Yeah.
Their biological age markers went down, measurably younger after just 4 weeks.
The pace of this is just wild. And you keep mentioning AI. It feels like AI is the engine driving a lot of this speed. Can you elaborate on how AI is, well, supercharging the whole discovery process?
Oh, it's absolutely fundamental. Think about finding those small molecules that mimic the gene therapy. There are trillions and trillions of possibilities.
Right. Impossible for humans to check.
Exactly.
Yeah.
AI can screen these vast libraries of molecules incredibly fast. It finds promising candidates that humans would never find, or it would take, decades. AI cuts that down dramatically.
From years to weeks, you said?
Sometimes, yeah, years to weeks. It's also crucial for designing the delivery systems. Getting these therapies to the right tissues in the body is tricky.
Oh, okay. Like, how do you get the molecule or the gene therapy just to the eye or the liver?
Precisely. AI helps design things like lipid nanoparticles, LNPs. These are tiny fat bubbles that can carry the therapeutic payload.
Is that like the mRNA vaccine tech?
It's very similar, yes. It's
Yeah.
the same kind of platform. So AI helps engineer these LNPs to target specific tissues much more efficiently.
So what are the main delivery methods they're working on?
Well, the current standard, often used in gene therapy, is viral delivery, using harmless viruses, AAV vectors, to carry the genetic instructions. It works, but it's expensive and hard to scale up.
Right.
The next generation, the one Sinclair seems really focused on for accessibility, is non-viral.
Yeah.
Using those LNPs, those lipid nanoparticles, he's actually advising a company, Lugandal.
Okay.
Yeah, and they specifically use AI to engineer delivery proteins. The goal is ultra-precise targeting. Get the therapy exactly where it needs to go and nowhere else. Much more efficient, potentially cheaper, safer.
Okay, so bringing this all together, the software theory, the AI-driven discoveries, the primate results, the new delivery methods, let's bring it back to the listener. What does this mean for us, for people? What's the potential impact on a human life if this pans out?
Well, the implications are potentially transformative. If this works as envisioned, someone in their 50s might be able to, essentially, roll back their biological clock, maybe by decades.
Roll back decades.
That's the potential, and it's adjustable. The idea is the longer you potentially use the therapy, perhaps the deeper the rejuvenation effect could be.
And is it permanent, or do you need to keep taking it?
He describes the effects as semi-permanent, meaning you get a significant reset, and then you might need follow-up doses, periodically to maintain it. So it's controllable, repeatable, not just a one-time thing.
It's just a completely different way of thinking about aging and health. So if you zoom out from the individual, what are the societal implications? What does this mean for humanity if we can actually do this?
Yeah, the bigger picture is pretty mind-bending. We could be getting really close to what some people call longevity escape velocity.
Escape velocity, what's that?
It's the point where, for every year that passes, medical science adds more than 1 year to your expected lifespan.
So, you basically outrun death, in a way. Your life expectancy increases faster than you're aging.
That's the concept. It sounds extreme, but if these rejuvenation technologies become effective and widespread, it opens up possibilities like, a teenager alive today potentially living well into the 22nd century.
Wow, the 22nd century.
It's a staggering thought. And Sinclair's work, it's part of this much bigger trend, this sort of moonshot movement in biotech right now. The goal isn't just extending life, but making actual age reversal affordable, accessible, maybe even universal.
This whole deep dive, it really feels like we're witnessing a paradigm shift, doesn't it? Moving beyond just, eating well and exercising, which are still important, obviously. But moving towards scientifically engineered rejuvenation. It's this blend of AI, gene science, molecular biology. It's redefining health.
Absolutely. And the ultimate goal, the really profound part, isn't just tacking on more years at the end. It's about restoring vitality, reversing the decline, the decay we associate with aging. It's about transforming what it means to be healthy, enabling people to live longer, yes, but also much more vibrant lives.
It really makes you think, though, if reversing your biological age becomes, as common as getting a flu shot, What does that do to society? How we live, how we work, how we learn? What does youth even mean if you can potentially get it back?
Yeah. What are the new possibilities?
Hmm.
And what are the new challenges? Definitely something to ponder.